Hello, folks. Welcome to the Seriously Wrong podcast. It is your auditory nutrients for the ideologically malnourished.
Oh yeah, that's a real pull. That's so old.
Yeah, that was our when we first started the show in 2014. Rarely said aloud.
And so true, even to this day.
Yeah. And so, I'm Sean, and this is Aaron.
Yes, Aaron is me.
I noticed I was listening to an Ezra Klein podcast, and then I was listening to his co-writers podcast where they're talking about this, and at the beginning of both their shows they say their full names. There's a little music track, and they're like, we're talking about this and this and this today. It must be like best practices in podcasting or something.
Right.
So maybe we should do that. Today we're talking about the book Abundance by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson. It's a little bit of a discourse magnet.
We should have started the episode with some nice soft NPR music and been like, my name's Sean Villiers and I'm Aaron Moritz. Today we're talking about abundance.
Yeah.
The new book from Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson, where they argue that maybe to have abundance, we just need a little bit more supply.
Can we solve our problems with more supply? That's a direct quote. It's a fresh provocation.
That's a fresh provocation.
They call their own book a fresh provocation. We've got an interest in cornucopian politics.
I've been talking about abundance longer than Ezra Klein. I'm just going to say it.
That's true. No, we've been around the bend on this. We've thought it through. We really talked about it.
Were they releasing podcasts about abundance in 2014? I was even talking about it before, 2011, 2012.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah, 2012 territory.
Abundance,
got
for
hip
sure.
to this stuff.
Yeah.
And even before, actually, I also felt like Occupy, when I was participating in Occupy, it's like we needed to put forward that, like the general premise of like being able to argue to the public, to the audience of politics, that you're going to provide nice things for them.
Right.
Like that's a good thing. It's like a good strategy. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that aspect of the book. Although we did kind of a critical reading of it, but we like to stay fair-minded about these things. We're not looking for cheap shots here.
It does kind of annoy me because abundance to me back in 2011, back in 2012 always meant it's possible to produce enough things that we can sort of get around the necessity of this capitalist system and just provide people with what they need directly. So that's like what I associate abundance with. So it does kind of grate when I see it co-opted, I guess you could say, by more of this liberal side of things.
And I mean, like, the overall argument of the book is kind of that checks and balances and regulations and hearings and so on in the United States and lawsuits and these different bureaucracies that exist.
The regulatory burden is too high on housing or on the process of funding new inventions
In order to have abundance, you need to ease the regulatory burden.
Yeah.
Like, that is the thesis of the book. But if you ask them what the thesis of the book is, they say, this book is dedicated to a simple idea. To have the future we want, we need to build and invent more of what we need. That's it. That's the thesis. This episode of Seriously Wrong is proudly brought to you by Supply Without Adjectives, where we always know that our problems can be fixed with more supply.
We need a bigger supply of transportation. So we're increasing the amount of SUVs, gas stations, and highways. The market conditions aren't right for public transit or cycling, and we have to be realistic. More transportation without adjectives is needed.
We need a bigger supply of food. So we're going to produce low nutrition gruel, which is sometimes poison. We found that nutritional content requirements and safety standards were both slowing down the growth of more food supply. So we cut them.
We need more supply of healthcare. So we're getting rid of all the onerous regulations on who can or can't be a doctor and what training they need. And we're removing the requirement that vaccines and medicines need to be proven effective with rigorous safety testing. Now they can come to market much faster.
We need more supply of education. So we're unleashing the power of the market by allowing pedophiles to open kindergartens. And we're letting school boards build more schools and faster by slashing the requirement for the building to never collapse.
And now, finally, a solemn warning. There are evil, misguided people out there who don't support more supply. They want your children not to have education. They want homelessness. They want you to get sick and not be able to see a doctor. These are deeply, demented people. We need to unleash the supply of police to criminalize and institutionalize these horrible people for their sick, cruel pathologies that want to halt human progress itself.
Supply without adjectives, where we always know that our problems can be fixed with more supply. And now back to our show.
All right, that is it for this teaser. That's all you're getting on the main feed. But if you want to hear more of it, why not take a saunter on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/seriouslywrong.
We link that in the description as well.
And support the show. If you want to hear more abundance discussions, there's plenty in the archive. We've been talking about this stuff, like I said, for more than 10 years at this point. We're talking about utopia in our first 10 episodes. I think number 10 was world peace.
Yep.
100 was full utopia now, and there's more. There's utopia all throughout. So again, Ezra and Derek, if you want to dig in there, you can.
Might help, sweetie.
And yeah, that's all available over on our Patreon. $6 a month gets you access to the whole archive and helps us create the show.
You know, our show is politically independent in that we choose what to do, and there's no advertisers who don't want us to do certain things. There's no financiers who want us to focus on certain things and so on. And we really value that independence. And that independence comes from people like you who chip in on the Patreon. Makes a huge difference. And we also do this thing on our Patreon where after an episode, we take the comments we receive in the first week or so from email and so on, and we do a short little respond to those comments episode after each episode. We've been doing this for a little while now. It's fun. So good opportunity to leave a comment and then saunter on down to the Patreon and hear what we have to say about that comment.
Yeah, and with that, to the sounds, the stampeding sounds of people sauntering over to that Patreon.
Searching up from the sound effects library, sauntering stampedes.
Is there a sauntering stamp? Probably just be lots of people walking, or... No, I started getting an editing brain. I'm like, okay, what do I have to search to try and find this?
What truly gives saunter?
Just like a ton of overlapping footsteps. Should they all be in lockstep? No, that would sound weird. But what distinguishes this from... Anyway, that's a question for later in the editing bay. Thank you all for listening so much.
And thank you all for sauntering. And remember, bend that sweet, sweet arc towards justice. It's our responsibility. It won't bend itself.